Primary ignition.
This is the way.
What is up, all of you Ugnaughts and Jawas out there, and welcome back to a new episode of Mando Talk on our new bi-weekly schedule as we're gearing up for the Mandalorian Season 3. But we are soon going to be doing a weekly schedule for each chapter that comes out during that season to do all of our spoiler discussions and all of those great things. So I say all of that right up at the front to make sure you know to hit that subscribe button on whatever podcast platform you are listening on, whether that be YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Wanted to get that plug out there. We are definitely gearing up for Mando 3, and on this episode we are doing a trailer breakdown, and it's not just going to be me. You notice I said we. DJ Foster, the co-host, is back in the co-pilot seat. DJ, what's up? How's it going?
I am so happy to be here. It has been far too long, my friend, and all of our friends and listeners online and throughout the world and whatever. I don't know where you are. Hello,
the galaxy.
You Ugnaughts and Jawas. It's good to be, I get to talk Star Wars with their family and a handful of friends, but this is different. Mando Talk hits different. I'm proud of the work I've been a part of with Mando Talk, and proud to be back, and just excited to talk about some episode rewatches, some brief news. I mean, it feels like it's full swing. Honestly, it feels like it's back in the day already.
We're home, Mando Talk is home. It's Mandalorian galore right now, and we've got
it's nuts.
We've got the Bad Batch coming out right now, which, by the way, I still haven't watched episode 4, and we're a day after its release, so I'm definitely struggling on that. But episodes 1 through 3 were fantastic of the Bad Batch. We got that going for us.
Yeah,
but
Bad Batch is good.
Admittedly, I'm already looking ahead. I can't lie. I'm already looking ahead to the Mandalorian.
Everybody, I think, is looking ahead. I mean, even Star Wars today updating their cover photos, releasing the season 3 directors, which we'll talk about in a minute. Yeah. I mean, so they're already like, we gave you this, and we know you like this, but we all know what you really want.
Right.
So
it's like the appetizer, It's
like
the mozzarella sticks before the burger or something. I don't know.
Yes, yeah.
Mozzarella sticks pretty good.
I speak bar food language. Yeah, I love me some mozzarella sticks.
There you go. All right. Well, we're going to serve up some mozzarella sticks on this podcast episode before we get to the burger. That is the trailer. I'm already losing it. Before we get to the trailer breakdown.
Oh, man. Whatever your
that was
appetizer.
Too good.
When it comes to segues, we've always been on point, I feel like. That's a good thing. But this is definitely your appetizer before the entree. Entree. I'm not French, but I don't understand French language anyway. So
yeah.
I don't even know why I'm trying. But you're so tickled over there. It's great. Oh, man. Yeah, but
hit us with the director's list, DJ.
All right, let's just move right into this. This is our only news piece, the only thing we're going to talk about that is news, and this is breaking as of right this moment, as of this recording, about an hour ago. About an hour ago, it's actually approaching 2 hours, actually. But Star Wars released the Mandalorian Season 3 director's list, who we can expect, and I like this because there's been so much speculation over the last 2 seasons, and even Book of Boba Fett, as to who was directing what. And I think that this is great because I think Obi-Wan set a precedence to say, okay, who's directing all the episodes? Well, you get one director for Obi-Wan, and she's doing all of them, Deborah Chow. And this time we've got exactly, who's doing what. So let's get into it. We got, first off, Lee Isaac Chung. And we had to do a quick Google search on him because I didn't recognize the name. And from what I can tell by just a brief Google search, he's most notable for being a part of the upcoming Twister sequel called Twisters. So, which I've already heard a lot of jokes on the internet about that anyway. Just, okay, there's 2 of them, but that doesn't mean anything. He may blow us away. He may be the best episode of the whole season. We don't know. So got him coming down the line. Rick Famuyiwa is back.
Pumped about that one.
The third season, or did he just do season 1?
I believe he also directed 1 and 2. Can't remember though.
Yeah, I can't remember either. But he's back, and I mean, I love Rick. His takes on not just Star Wars, but on Mandalorian are just incredible. Very much enjoyed him. Bryce Dallas Howard, my favorite director of all of the Mandalorian, and I think maybe she did a Book of Boba. I can't remember. She's Yaddle. I mean, come on, she's Jedi now, and which that means canonically, her voice is in Phantom Menace, regardless of what anybody says. I love that. But she's back. We're going to be discussing her season 2 episode here in just a moment.
We are.
So we got that going on. Then we have Rachel Morrison, or maybe it's Rochelle. I don't know. Somebody correct us what it is. But Rochelle Morrison, had to do a quick Google search on her. Now, her background is primarily cinematography, and I think that's really cool. But some of the notable movies that she's done, Fruitvale Station, which was a Michael B. Jordan film that came out a few years before the first Creed movie, which I haven't seen it. I remember working at the movie theater when it came out. At the time, I didn't really know who Michael B. Jordan was, and I think I need to probably go back and rewatch this movie because I have heard good things about it. She's also cinematographer on 2018's Black Panther, the first one. I think that's the first one. Yeah, first one. And then also, this is, I think, how she got the job with Mandalorian. She was a cinematographer on the movie Dope, which is a Rick Famuyiwa movie. So this is, now, let me just say this. Her style works with Star Wars, I think. If you've even just seen Black Panther, it works. So there's that notably. But she got the job through Rick, clearly, because he directed Dope.
Yeah.
So this is 100% a case of it's not what you know necessarily, but it is who you know. And that's not always a bad thing. I mean,
definitely not.
She may come out here and just blow us away. Good example of it.
And what we've seen from her looks pretty good. So
yeah,
show us what you got. Show us what you got.
I'll even make a note on this, kind of a different thing. So the movie Big with Tom Hanks, the cinematographer or director of photography, one of the two, that individual ended up directing all 3 Men in Black movies. So it's a good example of seeing how one job like this could lead you to something different. And
100%.
That's filmmaking. That's filmmaking 101. So that's really cool. Then we have the last 2, Peter Ramsey, who I did not do a Google search on, but
co-director of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the first animated film of those.
I think that speaks for itself.
Also, he's news reported to be directing at least one Ahsoka episode.
Okay. Well, then, I mean, that's great because he clearly brings a certain style to Spider-Man that Sony wanted. And I have not heard one person hate on Into the Spider-Verse.
No, not at all.
Be it the internet or in person. I mean, everybody loves that movie. So we got that. And then last but certainly not least, Carl Weathers returning to act and direct for the second time. He didn't direct the first season, I don't think.
Correct, but then he did direct an episode of season 2, the Navarro episode.
I think he directed his episode, which I remember thinking that was it. He was gone after that. I remember thinking, okay, this is it for Grief Karga, and that's it. But so he's back. Those are our directors for season 3. We got 2, 4, 6 of them. I mean, unless there's only 6 episodes, which I don't think there will be. I imagine there will be 8 because that's what we've traditionally received.
For sure.
So
no, I fully expect
probably a couple repeats, maybe.
No, definitely. I fully expect 8 chapters for season 3. I would expect, as far as maybe someone that gets multiple, Bryce Dallas Howard, I would easily say yes for sure.
I would.
I think as far as this entire list, her name stands out to me at this point because every episode she touches is golden. I mean, obviously Rick Famuyiwa as well. Everything he touches with the Mandalorian's golden. I believe his episode from season 1 was like the deepest character study of Din Djarin that we got, which has me stoked because that's really the big reason why I'm looking forward to season 3 is because it looks like, obviously I loved all the big reveals from season 2, but I want kind of that deep character study, that study of Mandalorian culture, and Famuyiwa just gets it. And yeah, Carl Weathers. I mean, he's the legend. So yeah, those three names obviously are the ones that really stand out to me, and those are the three that I would expect if any of them get multiple. It'd be one of those three, if not a few of them.
I think I'm on the same boat. If there are 8 episodes, like we assume, I'm betting Rick and Bryce Dallas will get the repeats.
Yeah.
It would be the first time Rick's had a repeat because he did 2 in season 1. He did the Jawa episode, and then he also did the jailbreak episode as well.
Right.
In season 1. And I think those are 2 polarly different episodes. They're still Mandalorian, but they're so oddly different and specific and all kinds of this, and so I think he'll probably get a repeat because he's already had a repeat. And then if you look at Bryce Dallas, she did season 2 and season 1, and then she also did an episode of Book of Boba. So at this point, which was a Mandalorian episode, which was like the Mandalorian episode of Book of Boba.
Right. We didn't see Boba Fett once, I don't think, in that episode.
I don't think that. Yeah, I think that was the one where he didn't show up at all. So we've got a seasoned Mando expert here, and I would be shocked if she didn't, go for 5 here.
For sure.
So that's our list of directors for season 3. Let us know what y'all think about that. Any other opinions or thoughts, you can direct them at Mando Talk or at Rebel Scum Texan. That is me. And we'll and then we've got Discord. We got all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, we got it all.
We got it all.
Links in the description for all that great
stuff.
Be
looking for all that. So to get in on the conversation and comment down below in the video and whatever else.
Absolutely. The only other thing I'll add to that is, am I slightly bummed to not see Favreau or Filoni directing an episode? Maybe. But that's okay. We've gotten plenty of stuff from them before. And Ahsoka, Filoni's going to get his shot there. Favreau's, like I said, gotten plenty of shots. So I'm excited to get this new list.
Is Favreau still the showrunner for Mando?
I think so.
Yeah, I would be. I mean, I don't doubt that he's not. I'm pretty sure he is. But I mean, I also have my own thoughts as to what Favreau and Filoni might be doing behind the scenes at Lucasfilm right now, which are not a part of this particular news piece at all.
Sure.
And I'll leave it that way for now. But I expect certain things to transpire with them, and that might not be why they are on the director's list for this season. But you never know. I mean, John maybe have something coming down the pipe we have no inclination about. We know Dave's doing Ahsoka and getting that, kind of finalized. So he's busy. I don't think he's got time for Mando.
Yeah. Well, regardless, we'll fill both of their presences on each of these chapters. They've each influenced all of them in their own way. So there is that one big news piece that kind of dropped that is Mandalorian focused. So definitely we needed to talk about that because, I mean, heck, we got to know who the creators are behind Season 3 as we're gearing up for it. Now let's kind of transition into our Mando rewatch that we've been doing. Last episode, we did specifically just Chapter 9, the premiere of Season 2. So we are playing kind of catch up here. We've got 3 Mandalorian episodes that we're going to run through, Chapter 10, 11, and 12. But to keep it kind of concise, I do have some things here that I've got typed out here. We're going to try to keep it as focused because I know we definitely want to get to that trailer breakdown and discuss that in full detail with you and make sure we don't overlook any of that stuff. So let's start with Season 2, Chapter 10, titled The Passenger. So here are some things that I noticed as I was watching this one. And DJ, at any point, just interject. Let me know what you think of each of these bullet points, unless you just don't have anything to add to it. Number 1, I really get the sense that this chapter is designed to have the viewer recognize key character development points of our 2 main characters, Din Djarin and Grogu. For Din, this episode reminds the audience of his willingness to help people and species once you kind of tug at his heartstrings a little bit. Din Djarin had a personal motivation to help Cobb Vanth in Chapter 9 as far as getting Boba Fett's armor from him, but he really had no reason to help Frog Lady out once the Razor Crest kind of suffered some damage. So other than that, it was just, like I said, deep character study as far as, just getting to see inside the heart a little bit of Din Djarin. You just got to tug at his heartstrings a little bit. He'll kind of respond. It was once Din listened to Frog Lady, he felt sympathy and started to act on his desire to help others. I hope that this is a character detail that carries over into Season 3, as I believe it's such a valuable lesson to be shared throughout Star Wars, that, we should help people. We should help people that are in need, and I like that being portrayed here with Din Djarin. So there's Din Djarin's takeaways from this chapter. DJ, anything you want to add to that before I point out Grogu's?
Personally, I wasn't looking at characters things as much as I was kind of focusing on just the visuals and the things that I was reminded of about what it made me excited about that episode and when it first came out.
Yeah.
The ice spiders was a big detail, obviously. The Razor Crest rundown gets its soundbite from this episode.
Yes,
so,
it does. I noticed
it's
that. Yeah.
It's one of those things for me that I just was really kind of digging into. It's like, oh, it was cool to see X-Wings, and it was cool, like, because we saw X-Wings in season 1, but they didn't do what they did here, and it was different. It kind of was more fun. It was better, however you want to say it. But
yeah,
I think for this episode, just it reminded me a lot of things, and it was kind of funny. I don't work too far away from where my parents live, and my mom keeps my daughter during the day, so me and my wife can go to work, and so about 4:00 is kind of when I usually wrap up my day. And I was just turn on the episode, just kind of, quick little rewatch. And Grogu kind of waddles over to Mando at one point to give him a hug, and he picks him up. And I was like, all right, pause. I'm gonna go see my kid real quick. So I left. It was the first time I've watched The Mandalorian and was like, got it. And left to go see my daughter for like a half second. And then came right back.
That's something that I've noticed too, now that we've had our own son, rewatching these episodes, that's another reason why I'm super excited for season 3.
Yeah.
Is because I now get to view it through that lens of Din Djarin really is treating Grogu like his child. Yeah, I can't wait for that experience. It's going to be quite the emotional journey, I'm sure, for me personally, for sure.
Yeah. So beyond all of that, I appreciated just kind of the heartstring tugs like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But beyond that, those are big things for me and the passenger.
Okay. All right. Well, just real quickly, as far as the passenger goes, for Grogu, we see that his curiosity and personality is going to begin to shine, and Din is going to have his hands full with him. He's eating frog eggs, eating spiders, back-talking Mando a little bit, all of these different things. It's only in due time that he begins talking and really expressing how he feels. Will it be season 3 was the question that I had. Are we actually going to hear Grogu speak? Based off the trailer that we've now gotten, I don't think we're there yet still. What do you think?
For him speaking?
Yeah.
Man,
Finale. I don't know.
I don't
Maybe.
know. Because, if he says anything, it's got to be, notable. And, something that, if his first words are something like "This is the way."
Oh no, that would be corny, wouldn't it?
I mean, well, would it? I mean,
I don't know. It would depend on how it plays.
Maybe if it's not that, he might say his own name, or I don't think he'll say something like "May the Force be with you."
Din?
But
Dad,
Dad, Din, Mando, Grief, Cara Dune. No, she won't say that. What happened to Cara Dune, Dad?
Oh no.
No, that won't happen. But I don't know if I think he'll speak or not. I do. You said Grogu, and I was immediately reminded of the egg controversy that was this episode.
Right. I know.
I think now I'm actually on Wikipedia because I went over here to see who directed all these episodes. And because I couldn't remember if Rick Famuyiwa did. He did direct one in season 2, chapter 15. But I'm sitting here looking at it and just laughing because all I can figure is it was the middle of the pandemic and we had nothing better to talk about. What else was going on in 2022? Boom, or 2020. Boom. Here's some egg controversy, and it's ridiculous. But back to the main road here. No, I don't think he'll talk.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think we're eventually going to get there. Yeah, but I don't see it season 3 yet. Not yet, unless it's the final moments of the season. I think
would be really cool is if season 3 is the last season of Mandalorian, and then they just switch it all over to. Okay, your next Star Wars trilogy is the Mandalorian trilogy. Like that, I think the world would just be like, yeah.
Huh.
I think we'd all go nuts if that happened. But
That would be wild.
they
That
won't.
would be wild.
And then at the end
No,
of the
they
first
won't.
movie, that's when he talks. That'd be
Hmm.
fun.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
I'd be okay
Unlikely,
with that.
but would be fun.
Very.
Let's not get our hopes up with that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next chapter, Season 2, Chapter 11, titled The Heiress. Din Djarin meets Bo-Katan, and his quote-unquote way is truly challenged for the first time and learns he is a child of the Watch. Or at least, I don't know, does he learn that, or does we as a viewer learn that from Bo speaking? It might be that way. I can't remember specifically.
Yeah. I rewatched that part, and and she kind of does reveal it to him, because he's like, he kind of comes at it blindsided, like, you took your helmet off, and he goes, there's only one way. When she mentions they wanted to return to the ancient ways, and he's like, no, there's only one way, and then he flies off all angry and not happy that they just saved his life. So, but,
well,
like a teenager.
yeah, for sure. Well, it's safe to imagine that Din will continue to be challenged on which side of this Mandalorian divide he should fall on in this upcoming season. Should he choose the adapted lifestyle led by Bo, or should he stay loyal to the Death Watch, a group that raised him and taught him everything he knows? Of course, that's the internal struggle that he's going to have to deal with. Bo reveals her intentions of retaking Mandalore, and it is clear this is a continued goal of hers in the upcoming season. We know this based off of trailers alone. Another important reveal in this episode is the fact that Bo is the one who eventually leads Din Djarin to Ahsoka. Clearly, Bo and Ahsoka's relationship, at the minimum, is still a working relationship. It's still at least intact. So I would love to see them reunite either in Mando 3 or at least the Ahsoka series. I'm not sure if it would happen in the Ahsoka series, with the two characters currently having two completely different motives. Ahsoka's worried about Thrawn and Ezra, and Bo's worried about taking over Mandalore and things like that. So I don't know how Bo could play into an Ahsoka show, but I guess, if they want to keep doing this Mandoverse thing, I could still see Ahsoka playing into Mando 3, but I would still love to see them live action portrayals meet each other or come face to face.
Yeah, I mean, the live action portrayals certainly do need to meet at some point. I think that it would give a great symmetry to what's already there from Clone Wars Season 7 and I guess elements of Rebels. I don't think they ever actually come face to face in Rebels, but I think it's deserving. I think it'd be a good fan service thing, and I mean that not in a negative way. I think some fan service is good, and to do that for the Clone Wars fans would be perfect. I don't expect to see Ahsoka much in this season, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking that I'm thinking that they'll hold off on her, but I was wrong. I thought that with the Book of Boba Fett, and there we were.
Yeah, man, I remember that we were just shooting a shotgun out there trying to figure out, Dengar will be in it and Bosk will be in it.
Right.
We're just going down, and then none of them were in it. It's like, I mean, it was okay, but whatever.
Yeah, well, those were the big Chapter 11 takeaways as far as a rewatch goes, preparing for Season 3. So let's go ahead and get to the last one for this rewatch segment for this episode. Season 2, Chapter 12, The Siege. During the classroom session on Navarro that Grogu is attending, the protocol droid says in the background that Chandrila is the capital of the New Republic. By the time we get to The Force Awakens, Hosnian Prime is now the capital. So my question is, what happened? Will that be explored in The Mandalorian Season 3? And after I, did that, I did some further research and learned that it is actually answered in a novel that the New Republic moves around based on who the political leader is at the time. So
interesting.
With Chandrila being, the location, I'm assuming that it's Chancellor Mon Mothma or whatever. But then by the time we get to the sequel trilogy, it's someone different, and that's why it's now on Hosnian Prime. But that easily could be explored, and I'm assuming, and that I'll save my thoughts on that when we get to the trailer breakdown, because there's something in the trailer that heavily teases this idea of where the capital of the New Republic is at the moment. But regardless, I do think now that we've seen that shot in the trailer, I do think this whole capital of New Republic situation is going to be explored a little bit. But what do you think, DJ? And again, we'll hold off on specifically talking about the trailer moment for right now.
Yeah, I don't expect to get any kind of exploration of Chandrila or however I guess it depends on if you're British or not, how you say it. Because I know in Andor, Mon Mothma,
Sean, whatever.
they say Chandrilla at some point.
Chandrilla.
It's something very like British sounding, and I'm a little rednecks ish, so I can't like
Really?
Yeah, really.
Rebel Scum Texan? Really?
I got a little redneck in me. I was weirdly enough, I was like, man, I want to go ride a 4-wheeler. I was thinking that to myself yesterday, and I don't own one, and I know someone who does. I'm like, I want to hit Josh up, see if I can just ride around. But anyway,
there you go.
Shout out Josh in your 4-wheeler. But anyway, no, I don't expect that, but I do think you're onto something. But for Ahsoka, because Ahsoka is playing with Rebels a lot. We know everybody from Rebels is pretty much coming back. I mean, shoot, Force Ghost Kanan while we're at it. Go ahead, I don't care. And
that'd be cool.
And maybe we will World Between Worlds him and pull him back in like we did Ahsoka. I mean, probably not because he almost did in Rebels, but hey, it could happen. But regardless of that, yeah, I think that there's some good things that could happen there where, Ahsoka goes and talks to Mon Mothma in the Ahsoka series. I think that makes more sense there than here. But there's no problem with, the little Easter egg there, because having Chandrilla as the capital of the New Republic is perfect because we're not far removed from Return of the Jedi. It makes perfect sense that Mon Mothma would be the natural leader.
Right.
I can totally see Leia saying, no, I don't want to do that. And maybe she's the successor to Mon Mothma. Maybe that's mentioned in a novel leading up to Force Awakens. I don't know. I'm not real good at the Star Wars novels, unfortunately. So
I don't know at what point Leia bounces out of the political landscape of it all, because obviously by the time we get to the sequel, she's no longer in any political form or position. So maybe she influences those future steps at some point in this Mandoverse.
I do know that Leia, it's found out on a very public scale.
Right.
She is the daughter of Darth Vader.
And that causes some issues.
Yeah, but I don't think that she was the Chancellor.
No, I don't think so either. No, definitely not.
Yeah,
definitely not.
So. Okay. That'd be something.
But, I do think regardless, though, if we, get to explore this whole capital of New Republic or whatever, they are going to have to address it at some point in this Mandoverse, whether that be Mandalorian, Ahsoka, whatever. They're going to have to address the political landscape if they want to make, just like the Clone Wars animated series did for the prequel trilogy, if they want to make the political landscape of the sequel trilogy play better, I think they'll explore it a little bit in this Mandoverse.
I think that they've already done that to some degree. If you look at season 1, this is something I picked up in the rewatch of The Passenger, but you have in season 1, they try to, spring someone from jail, but in the process, a New Republic, person dies. And that's, killed by whoever, I can't remember, the girl with the knife. I can't remember her name, but then you fast forward to season 2 and we have the chase scene. Right before the chase scene happens with the X-Wings and the Razor Crest, they're like, we have footage of you on this, this ship that's a jail that's floating in space. Was that you? And then he's gone, and then at the end of the episode, he's like, we'll let you slide since you put 3 others in prison. And it's kind of like there's this ongoing thing that happens to Mando where he keeps having this run in because of the thing he did in season 1. It's kind of like in Star Wars, the original trilogy, the underlying plot is Han and Jabba. So like, it's like in Mandalorian, the underlying plot is he did this thing one time and it keeps following him, even though he lost his ship, got a new ship in Book of Boba, and they're still kind of after him. And there, no doubt that'll play into this next season. I've got thoughts on some of that too. So that's my political landscape for Mandalorian. A little drawn out to say, but that's what I think the political landscape looks like here and now for season 3.
Yeah, I definitely agree that we got some things going on with that for sure. Well, continuing on here, finishing out chapter 12. The squad in this episode of Din Djarin, Greef Karga, and Cara Dune and the Mythrol stumble upon signs of what many in the fan base, including me, obviously, believe to be the early creation of Snoke. Another important thing of note is the 2 workers in this room attempting to destroy any evidence of what they were working on before being killed. There was something on the screen. I played it over over and over and over and over again before they just shoot it and then they get killed. There was something on the screen, but I couldn't make out what it was. That was the important thing to note. If The Mandalorian Season 3 is leaning more into the Mandalorian culture and that brewing battle between the two sides of Mandalore, I'm not sure we will get further expansion on this whole Snoke thing in this upcoming season. It is maybe starting to feel like that could turn into the Ahsoka stuff. I think it's going to become more clear very early on in The Mandalorian Season 3, though, as far as are we exploring this here or are we exploring it elsewhere. At the end of this episode, we see Captain Karsa make his pitch to Cara Dune that he's noticing something going on, but the core worlds don't see it, and he could use her help. I'm still very convinced that this was the setup for Rangers of the New Republic, but now that that series doesn't seem likely at all, I could easily see those New Republic plot points integrated into this Season 3, and obviously this is going to be without that character of Cara Dune, and I think Captain Carson's taking that role, which honestly has me pretty stoked.
I think that's
he's
better.
Great. And I do think it's better because he's a better performer, and quite frankly, I think he might, at the end of the day, be a better character when it's all said and done. I did love the character of Cara Dune. I'm not going to lie. I love the idea of, a former soldier from Alderaan with all of this past tension and stuff that she's gone through. I'm bummed that we're not getting Cara Dune, but again, we're not going to dive into the reasons why of that. But I do think, regardless, the New Republic stuff that was going to be in that show, I do think it's going to be sprinkled in Season 3 and just things throughout. And I think we've kind of touched on that as far as our ideas on the political landscape of the Mandoverse and Mando Season 3 moving forward. Any final thoughts on that or Chapter 12, The Siege, DJ?
I have a what if scenario for you.
Okay.
So Carson Teva here, and I agree with you. He is, I think, a more compelling character than Cara Dune was. Not because I didn't dislike Cara Dune. It was just, I understand why we have that character in the first two seasons. And I think that she was definitely necessary for the first. Not so sure about the second. But for the third season and what they were going to try to do with Rangers, what if Carson Teva, instead of, like, we know Rangers is off the table. It's gone. It's not happening.
Yeah, I think so too.
What if, and this is the what if scenario. What if instead of Rangers, they will take Carson's stuff and he's like, hey, I'm seeing stuff in the Outer Rim. Like you mentioned, the New Republic's not taking, note of it. There's issues. They need to be addressed. Leia splits from the New Republic and the Resistance comes about. What if Carson Teva is the seed planters of the Resistance?
That would be certainly
and
cool. Very cool.
And going back to, not because I know he's at the end of this episode, but going back into the earlier part of this episode, they're in the Imperial base. They see what look like little Snokes growing in tubes and all that stuff. Because I'm actually of that opinion too. I think I can't think of any other reason. Bad Batch Season 1 really helps me feel like that's what they're doing there. So, I think that's part of it. But they mentioned something, and again, I'm on Wikipedia, and it flat out says they discovered that the base is being used as a laboratory to conduct experiments with the child's blood, which they say has a quote a high M count, which can only mean midichlorians.
Right.
So if the dark side could manipulate the midichlorians to create life, Snoke, it's not that hard. So I think we have seeds of Snoke being planted in Season 2 and in Bad Batch Season 1. And then we also have potentially, this is pure speculation, Resistance seeds being planted in Season 3 because of Carson Teva. And I like that idea. I'm pulling from the trailer that just came out a little
naturally.
Bit.
And now that I'm thinking about it, we just mentioned what Carson says here to Cara, saying, the core worlds aren't doing anything about this. It makes perfectly sense with his dialogue in the trailer that we're fixing to get to, as far as, it's going to be too late by the time y'all do anything. So as far as him delivering that line, he certainly has some motive to kind of break away and be part of this resistance idea, at least. So
absolutely.
I love that. But let's get into the trailer. All right, let's kind of walk through the trailer frame by frame. I got some takeaways, of course. I got some things to discuss to kind of lead this discussion, but we're going to just, have it open. See where this conversation goes. Maybe we just get into the minute details. Maybe we start speculating for season 3. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But regardless, I think we're ready. DJ, are you ready to run through this trailer?
I am currently
Yeah.
finding the trailer on YouTube.
Okay, that is probably smart.
And because I'm a scrub and pull up in the first place. I want to go to the official Star Wars YouTube, because I want to respect the
give them the
views. Okay. And wow, that was really loud in my ear hole. Okay. It killed me just then. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. Well, we kickstart the trailer on a rocky terrain, focused on the silhouettes of many Mandalorians, followed up by a close-up shot of them kind of pounding their chests and looking at one another. It's almost like Din Djarin is either giving them a monologue, kind of like as a lesson, or they're hyping up for battle. I'm not really sure which one's going on there. What do you think on that take, DJ?
I think that this is so quick plug. Okay. Yeah. I'm Rebel Scum Text on Reddit as well. I took the 2 Mandalorian trailers and put them into what I believe is chronological order, although I did fudge a couple spots. And we'll talk about those spots here in a little bit. But I think that this happens later on, after he is saddled up with R4 or R5D4.
I see, yeah.
And I think that he goes to find the Mandalorian cohort. And I think that this is him finding the cohort. And the whole chest pounding thing, which I did involuntarily the first time I watched this trailer. They did it and I just went like that, and I was like, I'm such a dork. But and it was in the middle of the Cowboys game too, so I was just kind of like, what is going on? Which that was a whole adventure in and of itself too. But I really think that this is just him discovering them, and the shot where they do that is in response to something he or the armorer says.
I just got an idea too. What if them pounding their chest is in response to Din Djarin saying, "Look, I got this Darksaber. Show me respect." And they pound their chest in response to it. It's almost like a bending of the knee kind of situation of, you're our leader. Let's do this.
Kiss the ring. Yeah. I could see that.
Which, here we are. I'm super nerdy. I tried to zoom in on the poster they released for season 3, and I don't see the Darksaber on his waist.
I did that too, and it's not there. I think that they just...
What's going on?
I don't think he carries it all the time.
Really?
Well, I mean, he cut his leg open with it in Book of Boba.
True.
So, but, he may not feel comfortable wielding it yet, and he can't just flaunt. I don't think he should flaunt it, because he doesn't fully understand the power that comes with even having it in his possession.
Right.
I mean, Darth Maul once owned that thing. Okay, let's just take that into consideration for a second. So
very true.
I don't think that he wants to flaunt the power,
Oh, definitely not. That's not Din Djarin for sure.
Yeah, so I think that he doesn't have it. He's just kind of like got a little special place for it on his M1, and he just kind of leaves it there. Or maybe it's inside R5D4, and he'll shoot it out of his dome, like
that would be so cool. That'd be so great.
That'd be awesome.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of really like that whole Darksaber idea as far as them pounding their chest. That would be so cool.
That would be cool.
I would get so many chills,
like,
man.
If he's just like, and they're all just like, it's like that'd be pretty dope. Yeah.
This is the way. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Well, while these shots are shown, Din Djarin begins his monologue that I just alluded to by saying, "Our people are scattered like stars in the galaxy." Din then asks, "What are we? What do we stand for?" as we get the familiar shot of Din Djarin emerging from a cave surrounded by those fellow Mandalorians. So yet again, it looks like at least they are going to begin to be brothers in arms and going up against something. So he's gained their respect in some way. I don't know if he has a past with these Mandalorians, or if they are just new people that he's just immediately kind of gained favor of, I guess.
Yeah, the bright colors on this armor really remind me of Sabine. And so I could potentially see maybe Sabine's kind of got her own little clan going on.
Man, there's so many like groups that we could potentially see with this. It's insane.
I don't want to speculate too crazy on that, because it's just a thought. Like, just because they're colorful doesn't mean they're with Sabine.
Right. Yeah. No. And I don't think it's likely, because I think they will hold off for Sabine until Ahsoka for sure. So
I don't.
Really?
If what I just said is true.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
All right, well, continuing on here then, we got Din Djarin and Grogu are traveling in Din's newly acquired N1 by Lightspeed, and when we cut to Grogu chilling in the N1, Din Djarin says the quote, being a Mandalorian is not just learning about how to fight, you also have to know how to navigate the galaxy. That way you'll never be lost. Now, I did take to Twitter, at Mando Talk, by the way, follow us on Twitter, at Mando Talk, to kind of give my opinion on that quote. It might not be right, but I could easily see Din Djarin just fully embracing this idea of Grogu being his foundling in this season finally, and now that Grogu's made this commitment of, I don't want to be with Luke Skywalker, I would rather be with Din Djarin, maybe at this point, Din Djarin is going to train or teach Grogu how to be Mandalorian, and maybe this is just some wisdom that he's passing on to Grogu in a conversation. What do you think of that idea?
I don't see why that wouldn't be the case. I think we're heavily alluding to Grogu kind of doing his own trial by fire. I think about 300, the movie 300, where you got Leonidas fighting the wolf at the beginning of the movie. You know, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but when Grogu kind of has his moment where it's his Mudhorn moment, if you will.
Yeah.
And
sure.
he kind of does his own thing. I think, you know, there's an element of a Spartan upbringing here with the Mandalorians, and Din is kind of playing into that, where he trained with Luke, he got a little Jedi training, great, that's awesome, but it makes sense that because he's from the Mandalorian, he's kind of his son in a way. It makes sense to kind of just turn the page and say, let's teach you to be a Mandalorian, because even Din said it's not Mandalore is not a planet or a people, it's a creed. You know, however that line goes. And so I think teaching the creed for Grogu.
It's not a place, it's a people or something like that. Creed is in there too. He
does say it's a creed.
Right.
But I think that teaching the creed to Grogu is more important to him than not teaching it.
Right. 100%.
And I think that's a big element of this as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure. All right.
I think that there are things there, like you said, that, he's going to try to really,
I hope so. I really hope so. Because that alludes to the whole deep Mandalore study that I want. And I know we keep getting, I can never get enough. I feel like I'm always going to say that.
Yeah. I mean, as long as they're doing the show, there's going to continue to be a desire to want to know more.
Yeah.
That's just plain and simple.
Absolutely.
And the show hasn't sucked at all.
Mm-hmm. No, it hasn't.
Maybe like tiny details, maybe, if you're really going to be nitpicky. But as a whole, the show's incredible. So I can see it going on a long time.
Definitely. Well, next up in the trailer, Din Djarin arrives on an even better-looking Navarro, greeted by a Kowakian monkey lizard and Grief Karga. It feels like every time we see Navarro, it's just looking more luscious and more successful, and this is a testament, I guess, to Grief Karga's probably leadership. What is he? Yeah. What's the technical title for him now? I can't remember because they drop it in the Mandalorian season 2. Because Car is the marshal and he's the, I don't know. I'm blanking on it right now.
Don't ask me why this is what came to mind, because I could not tell you. But the term Queen Regent comes to mind, and that's wrong.
That makes sense.
He's clearly not a queen.
Right. He's the King Regent.
He's the King Regent. I think he's just like a governor or something, like that. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Well, he's looking great, and the red robes or whatever he's got going on, he's all fancy. He just came out of like a fancy dinner meeting or something.
Yeah.
He looks incredible. Carl Weathers can continue to be this character as long as he wants.
I want to point out that in the background, before they kind of like clasp hands, that R5D4 is in the background.
Okay.
And I think that he's already with Din when he gets to Navarro, unless it's a different R5 droid, which it could be, but he's just in the background, not too far behind Grogu and Din. So it makes sense to me that he would this would be post the Tatooine moments.
Oh, for sure. I agree on that, and I think I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the Pelimoto moment. We are given a look at the Armorer as Din says, I'm going to Mandalore so that I may be forgiven for my transgression. Something that, again, we've already heard, we've already seen. During this quote, Grogu looks up at Din, and we see a new shot of the destroyed capital of Mandalore Sindari. I can't wait. I can't wait to see this thing more in detail. I'm excited
to return to Sindari. I really am.
Fantastic.
Because it's been so long in canon.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
since
other
we've
than seeing
been
it
there.
getting blown up in the Book of Boba Fett.
Right, but like that took place.
Like, I want to
Probably,
spend time
yeah,
there, you know?
yeah.
I want to... I want to see the remains. I want to see what Mandalore's like
Well,
right
even
now.
like looking at it, just this image, you got like greenery growing up around.
Yeah,
the
I
city.
noticed that. Yeah.
And it makes sense. Like if you light a match, if you do a controlled burn on a field, you light that match, it kills and replenishes. It's like when you see a forest fire, after some years go down the road, you know, the ground and the trees that begin to grow are very healthy.
Yep.
So fire is not always a bad thing. And now, obviously, a whole civilization was nearly wiped out. That's a different story. But the fact that Mandalore is becoming this lush, you know, thing is really kind of cool.
Yeah.
Even if it is in the midst of great tragedy, it's neat to see it. It's kind of like Wall-E in a way.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the end game of this show now is I think by the end of, you know, maybe even the final shot of the Mandalorian series is a lush, successful, thriving Mandalore planet led by whether that be Bo, Din, Sabine, who knows? There's no telling. Well, I was just adding to the list.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't think
I definitely don't think it'll be her either, but Grogu.
I really think I do think it's going to be Din.
Yeah.
Really, genuinely. And that's because of the Book of Boba Fett episodes. Like, there was stuff in there with him in the armor that I was like, you are going to become the Mandalorian. You know, like, he is like the Mandalorian. And it's just like, from the ashes rises the phoenix type thing. You know,
that would be pretty cool.
I think that's the end game, if you will, for Din Djarin.
Yeah.
Then we can have Clan. Then we can have Clan Djarin.
That would be great. Fantastic.
That's not been said in canon, has it?
No, not that I know of.
That's what him and Grogu would be, right? They're not Clan Mudhorn. They'd be Clan Djarin.
Yeah.
Because of Rebels, right?
Definitely. I think so.
Well, that's it on that.
That's all, folks. Continuing on here. R5 appears to be potentially gearing up for flight as Pelimoto sends Din Djarin off the planet of Tatooine with a familiar "May the Force be with you."
Followed by "This is the way."
This is the way. Yes, we do get it. This is the way.
Immediately. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think Grogu during those moments is looking at those fireworks being shot off in the sky with curiosity in those moments, and then we are unclear as far as when or where they're witnessing these fireworks, and that's when Din Djarin drops that famous line of "This is the way." Then Grogu punches him into hyperspace. That was pretty cool.
I think that this is over the top of Mos Eisley.
That's what I was thinking too.
But I just paused it on Grogu looking out of the window cockpit. He's wearing the chainmail Beskar.
I saw that too. Yeah.
That's the first time I've noticed it.
Yeah, that is really
it's
cool
like
detail.
It's like the Mithril from Lord of the Rings.
That's 100% what it is. 100% what it is.
Grogu is Frodo. Confirmed.
Yeah. Well, you know, something that I'm really interested in is because I believe it's Tatooine 2 where those fireworks are going off. What are they celebrating? Is it Boba Fett threw a great dinner or something? Like, what's going on?
I really thought that this could be a Boba Fett cameo moment somewhere in this episode. It'd be cool. We've already seen Tim Morrison come back for Obi-Wan, and I don't see why he wouldn't want to put the Boba Fett armor back on. He loves being Boba Fett. Like,
yeah, he does.
Oh my gosh, it's like an addiction. It's so funny how much he loves being Boba Fett. So I would love to see him here. Why fireworks are going off? I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell, unless it picks up right after the Book of Boba Fett ends.
Right. And see, that was okay. So that's a theory of mine, I guess, that I was alluding to earlier, is I could easily see the premiere being on Tatooine and that kind of being the bridging of the gap, if you will, regarding the Book of Boba Fett and this season.
That would be perfect.
To clarify maybe the viewers that are confused on, okay, how's Grogu back with Din Djarin? The last I saw him, he bounced with Luke Skywalker. Maybe, and
there are plenty of people who didn't watch Book of Boba.
Yeah.
Even though there's Mandalorian stuff in it, they still didn't watch Book of Boba. You know? So they're going to miss a huge piece of the story. And it makes sense. Yeah, you're right. It makes sense to start there.
And that's what I'm thinking at the moment. And maybe at some point in that episode we get caught up to Din Djarin's final moments in the Book of Boba Fett where they're taking off in hyperspace. But I don't recall if R5 is in one at that moment at the end of the Book of Boba Fett or not.
No, R5 is definitely going to become Mando's droid in
Oh
season
yeah,
3. Yeah.
100%. I agree. I just couldn't remember if at the end of Book of Boba Fett R5's already in the N1 or not.
No, they just have the
Okay.
dome top for Grogu,
Okay.
which is so great. I think it's going to do like a Buzz Lightyear thing
Yeah,
where it just goes back
that'd be cool. Yeah.
and that if they don't have R5, Grogu can ride up there. And I have more thoughts on the N1 in just a moment, but we'll get to that in a second.
Okay. All right. Well, let's continue here then. We've got a very extremely intriguing shot of a city with traffic in the sky, like Coruscant. But in my notes here, I put it could easily be Hosnian Prime or the sleeper pick that I mentioned earlier of Chandrilla? We don't
I'm
know
going to say
anymore.
Chandrilla.
Yeah. But which one of those do you think it is?
I am 1000% banking on Coruscant here.
Are you? Okay.
I am, because the architecture and the skyline and all of that, they don't put something like that in Star Wars trailers unless they want you to think it's Coruscant.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, in this shot where it's just the highway and the below street and all that, there's a building just to the right that looks to me to be similar in structure to Padme's apartment in episodes 2 and 3.
I think I noticed that too.
So I'm not saying it's that. It probably isn't. But to me, I think that this has to be Coruscant, and I don't know why they would put a shot like this in here if it wasn't.
Yeah.
I do also want to point out that the main building structure here looks very similar to MI6 in the James Bond movies. I just thought, that looks like where they blew it up in Skyfall. I think it was Skyfall. So it just looks like that to me. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I'm going Coruscant.
I'm leaning toward Coruscant for sure. I could see them easily going with either of the other two, though, too. And because I just recently watched Chapter 12, where I got that line of, we know that the New Republic capital is in Chandrilla right now, makes me want to say it's that, but it doesn't look like that. Although, have we ever seen Chandrilla in live action or animation?
I don't think we've seen it in either.
I don't think we have. Now, would I be slightly bummed that Chandrilla would look just like Coruscant or Hosnian Prime, so add to the list another skyline city like that? Maybe I'd be a little bummed. You know, it's kind of similar to, Jakku compared to Tatooine, But we'll see. We'll see. I think all three of those are a possibility, but Coruscant's most likely.
If it's not Coruscant, it's okay if it's Hosnian Prime, because it gives us a thorough way straight to Force Awakens.
Definitely.
And we all know that this is still Disney's property.
Mm-hmm.
Those are Disney Star Wars movies. They want that highway, no pun intended, to I didn't mean it when I said it, but I kind of do now. They need that to go to Force Awakens. That's what's in the back of everybody's minds. I'll say this: you haven't watched this week's episode of Bad Batch yet, but just as a quick little thing for anybody who has, there is a very minor background character in The Force Awakens who is of a similar species to a character in this week's episode of Bad Batch. So it's one of those, like, is that the same guy? And I don't know if it is, but like it could be.
I got you.
And it's just one of those, they're reminding us, hey, don't forget Force Awakens, go to Galaxy's Edge. They're doing these things because they want us to remember what they put out there already.
For sure.
So if it's Hosnian Prime, cool. I don't mind. Other people will be pissed, but I won't be. So.
Oh yeah, no, I'd be good with any of the options that we've mentioned for sure. Well, while we're in this aerial view, we see Dr. Pershing traveling in, through the traffic of the planet. And we also hear Captain Carson deliver the line saying, there's something dangerous happening out there, and by the time it becomes big enough for you to act, it will be too late, before cutting to the character actually delivering this line to someone. And what I'm currently thinking is he might be delivering that line to some higher up in the New Republic, because, again, we mentioned it, and this is why we're doing the Mando Rewatch series. He says a line very similar to that to Kara, saying the core worlds aren't noticing what's going on out here, and he's trying to report that back to whoever this higher up is. I don't know who that higher up is. I know I wish it was Mon Mothma, but I don't think it's going to be.
Well, I will say it's Mon Mothma or somebody similar to her, at least, like maybe a new character. It makes a little more sense for it to be a new character.
For sure, yeah.
But I like that we've got him in this moment. We've kind of already talked about it. But he's got the Republic/Rebellion patch on his shoulder. He has a Rancor patch on his chest, which I don't know why he'd have a Rancor patch unless he, like in Clone Wars, I know that there was a reference to one of the clone battalions being called the Rancor Battalion. Maybe there's a Republic/Resistance name for like Rancor Battalion or Rancor Squad. And he just like, he's the commander of that because he's not in a pilot uniform. He's looking like Poe Dameron in Last Jedi right here.
Yeah.
And so I think that he's taking on this role that's more than just some X-Wing, cop. I think it's more, he's something different now. And I think that they're going to show or at least explain the switch of what that is. So there's a lot happening here, and I'm not trying to like dig in too deeply. I mean, most of this is just like, is just based on prior knowledge.
Right. Yeah.
But so that's what I think with here. I will say this though. He looks great. I think.
Oh yeah. He looks fantastic.
Paul Sung, is it? I don't know how to say it.
It's Paul.
Paul Sung Lee. Is that what it is? Something like that?
Something like that. Like that.
Which he follows me on Twitter for some reason.
Nice, man.
Which is just weird. I remember getting that.
Ask him to come on the show.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Hey man, what's with the Rancor patch? We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I think it's cool, but I think if you look at him in season 2 versus now, he's slimmed up a little bit. He looks a little healthier. Like, not that he looked bad to begin with. I think he actually looks better without a pilot's helmet on. Like, I think he just looks like just a character I want his action figure. I didn't want his action figure before, but I do now. For some reason, I don't know why, I just do.
Well, you mentioning that as far as him slimming down a little bit, we all know that, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, they all had to get in shape again to come back for the sequel trilogy. That's just, unfortunately, how Hollywood works. They want you to look the best you possibly can.
Well, it's the Star Wars diet, is what I call it.
Right. Yeah. Him looking great like that, again, is another indicator to me that his character is about to become really important.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Really important. He's put in the work, clearly. Like you said, looks great. Yeah. I expect to see some significant runtime for him and his character in this season, for sure.
I also think, going back to the trailer now, instead of looking forward to his character development, I think that we're meant to think he's talking to Din Djarin here.
Oh, yeah, because it cuts straight to Din Djarin's helmet, but he's on a completely different location, which we'll talk about next.
He's in Mandalore. Yeah,
right.
I mean, 1,000, and he's got water on him.
Yeah.
He doesn't even, Carson Teva doesn't even look wet.
No, definitely not. He's indoors somewhere that it's probably this capital city that we've been looking at.
I would think it'd be something like that, yeah.
For sure. Well, we just mentioned it. We get to Din Djarin in Bo's throne room. We're assuming it's on Mandalore. I guess it's still possible that it's somewhere else, but that just seems likely that's where it would be.
I don't think it would be somewhere else.
We see what looks like the path to the mines of Mandalore, where Din needs to go to be forgiven for his transgressions, obviously. While on this path, Din comes across an old Mandalorian helmet. Now, I believe this is just a helmet that's been down there, but I do find it very significant that the immediate cut afterward goes straight to Grogu, where that helmet almost kind of fits his head perfectly. Is it possible for Din Djarin to kind of refurbish this thing? Maybe. I think it's possible for Grogu to end up getting one dome of his own.
I think Grogu has earned that. I think it's a detriment to the character of Grogu to not see his face. But I do think that the size of Din Djarin's hand with holding that helmet, it seems like it would have been a child's helmet. Sure. And we saw in season 1 children wearing some sort of helmet. It wasn't like a Mandalorian helmet, but it was a helmet. And then we also know, when was the last time you took your helmet off, someone saw your face and goes, oh, it's about those kids' age, and this makes sense that Grogu, he's 50, but he's a baby, Maybe he has this incredibly significant transformation going forward, and Din's like, you get a helmet now, dude. Like, here you go. And I think this would be the perfect time for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in this shot cut that we get Grogu in, suddenly we're back in the Jedi Temple. It's Order 66, where we see Jedi lining up to protect Grogu from a door being burned down by either blaster, flamethrower, or, of course, lightsaber.
It's a lightsaber.
Is it a lightsaber? You think so?
It has to be.
You think?
Yeah, one reason why.
Why's that?
Phantom Menace. Qui-Gon and the
It
giant
does look
blood
just like
sword.
that, yeah.
If it's not that, I mean, it could be a clone, obviously. It could be something else. I know it can be.
Yeah.
But it makes the most sense for this to be Anakin leading the charge.
Mm-hmm.
And how ridiculous would it be to see Hayden Christensen in The Mandalorian? I mean, I would go nuts. I think I would actually start screaming.
I think so. I would too. I'm just struggling because the shot that we get of Grogu in Order 66 in the Book of Boba Fett, it seems like it happens after the shot that we see in this trailer.
Yeah,
because the clones have already broke through the door at that point.
Yeah, they have. But I mean,
where would Anakin have just bounced for some reason? Oh, here's these Jedi. Y'all got them.
This doesn't have to be in the same spot as where Grogu is in the previous shot, though.
Sure, there are less Jedi in the shot in the Book of Boba Fett, from what I've noticed. So maybe some of them have been offed.
I thought there were 4 in Book of Boba Fett, but I could.
There may have been. I can't remember.
But Anakin, he's obviously all over the temple, slaying younglings and whatever else. And
and fake slaying Reva. What is it again? I can't remember.
It is Reva. Yeah, okay. It took us a while to remember that one. I remember
it did, and I'm forgetting again. I need to rewatch Kenobi.
I do too.
Rewatch.
I think so. For example, if it is Anakin, there could be like a Jedi off to the side, just kind of ready to ambush, and that distracts him, and then the Jedi remove Grogu.
Yeah,
it could be a very simple sequence like that, but it's astronomically important to Revenge of the Sith and Mandalorian, which this is the first time I've ever actually considered that Grogu was actually in the temple. I don't think I've ever actually processed that until now. He was there.
Interesting.
I've seen memes and I've talked about it, but I don't think I've ever processed it until this moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm still now to the point where my biggest question with this Order 66 flashback is not necessarily who tries to kill Grogu or who comes at him or anything like that. It's who saves him. I mean, I think that's the biggest question with this flashback overall. It's not my question's not who's coming through the door or anything like that. It's who's going to take this guy and get him away from all of this.
What if they throw Ray Park a bone and they're just you can be a human Jedi and you can be responsible for getting
That'd be
Grogu.
Cool.
I doubt it, but it'd be really neat if that's what happens.
Yeah,
maybe it's Kit Fisto's side chick or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think it's most likely that it's a clone trooper with a flamethrower.
And you may be right. I mean, you very easily could be onto something. The only reason I don't think it's a flamethrower is that it's coming straight down the middle.
Sure. Yeah.
And when a flame hits something, the heat, this is just science, but it hits something and then it just
that science is totally considered in Star Wars.
right. But you know what I'm saying though? When heat hits something, your brain tells you it's going to expand.
Sure.
This is not expanding. It's like a weld. It's like they're a de-weld in this case. But anyway, that's why I think
isn't the slice really high though? It's almost 8 feet high in the
It's an
air.
8-foot door. You got to start it from the top, get down to the bottom.
So Anakin jumped to the top of the door and he's just casually sliding
I'll
down.
tell you what it is. It's a biblical reference to when Jesus dies. Okay. The veil at the temple was torn from top to bottom. This is the veil to get us to Grogu. Boom.
There you go.
Solved it all here.
Mic drop. Moving on to the next. Any other Order 66 Grogu theories, though?
No.
For real?
I have none.
Okay.
No, I have none.
Okay. Me either. We see several TIE interceptors chasing and firing on a gauntlet, which appears to be Bo's ship, in my opinion, at least. Do you have a different opinion?
I think that the N1 will be destroyed. And
no.
Hold on. I
really
did. They destroyed the Razor Crest.
Oh, my goodness. If we go through another ship, dude, no way.
I mean, they already did it once. They can do it again. All I'm saying is...
But this is the N1, okay? This is
Naboo
Naboo speeder. You can't get rid of it.
I didn't say, okay, well, if it's not destroyed, what if it's out of commission? And this is, and here's
all right. That's getting too Star Trekky for me.
Okay, well then here's my actual theory. Okay.
Okay, no, continue. I didn't mean to,
I know. You're good.
I'm just adding some flair.
Hey, flair is what I'm all about. Okay, so my middle name's Flair. All right, it's not, but anyway, when I look at this, I think, okay, this is I think it's Mandalore. First of all, I don't have a reason to believe it's Mandalore other than the ship. I just think it is.
Okay.
Secondly, I think that Grogu and Din arrive on Mandalore before this scene, and I think that Bo-Katan hears Imperial ships coming, and she goes to the window because she's sitting down when Din and Grogu walk in. So I think that they have a conversation. She stands up. They hear the ships coming in. She goes to the window. And there's some like previous thing that takes place in that scene where he's like, okay, you take the kid and go here. Because later in the trailer, we see her down in the mines of Mandalore with.
Right. And I think that was the first trailer because we didn't get Bo at all in this one.
Okay. So then in the first trailer. So I think that happens. And then that's when this chase scene happens. So she has Grogu in this ship with her. And Din's doing his own thing somewhere else.
Interesting.
The only other reason I think that's the case is because I don't remember if this trailer or the first, but there is a ramp that lowers and Grogu comes floating out of it. Behind him is a Mandalorian, but it's not Din. It's a woman. It's clearly female armor. I think it's Bo. So, and like, that's why I said, go look at the trailer, chronological thing I did on Reddit, because
it's a good idea for sure.
My thought was, and I've never done this before, I was like, I wonder if I can figure it out. And I started
it'd be fun to come back to.
So for me, it was just one of those, okay, if it works, great. If it doesn't, cool, whatever. I just look like an idiot, and that's fine. It's not the first time. So, I think that's just what they're going to do here.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
I'm jumping all over the place. I'm so sorry. But like, that's why I think that is potentially either the N1's been blown up and I'm totally wrong, or Grogu is with Bo-Katan right here.
Okay. I could see that lining up. And like you said, in the first trailer, we do get those moments where they're alone. So that would line up for sure. Well, later, next in the trailer, we see Din Djarin piloting the N1 again, but this time it is in that similar surroundings, which doesn't necessarily mean that debunks your ideas or anything. It could just be them arriving to wherever he's coming to meet Bo or whatever. Well,
the cockpit doesn't match the Mandalorian cockpit. It's not the same cockpit, so it's definitely not the same ship.
In this shot, really, I thought it was the N1.
He's in the N1 in this shot. And if we're thinking that he might be piloting the Mandalorian ship, the Bo-Katan ship,
the Gauntlet,
the Gauntlet. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was called. If we're to assume that she's in the Gauntlet, then he's flying separately. Also, an explosion takes place behind him in this shot. So they may be tag teaming some interceptors here as well.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Well, he also says to Grogu, "Hang on, kid," in these moments. And we get another look at that Baby Yoda before we cut.
That could just be a soundbite.
Right, and that's what I was going to add to that, too. It's hard to predict if this dialogue matches this scene and things like that. But I guess, we'll have to wait and see. The Gauntlet is quickly shown attempting to maneuver away from the ties even more. I'll say the aerial stuff that they've shown so far in this season looks fantastic. It looks great,
yeah.
It looks so good. I can't wait to actually see some more of that. Well, we then see Din Djarin appearing to be in a droid bar or droid cantina, getting some form of favor completed for him, and we see battle droids in the background.
Yeah.
And I fully expect as soon as Din Djarin walks in there, one of these droids better say, "We don't serve your kind in here." That would be fantastic. What did you think of this moment in the droid bar?
Well, I got excited, and I immediately thought of Matthew Wood, who does the voice for the droids in Clone Wars, hoping to hear his voice here. I also know, because of season 1, that Din might have some PTSD from these particular droids. So maybe the Darksaber, there's one more lightsaber that cuts down a battle droid. It could be something like cool. But no, honestly, I think that this is somewhere on Tatooine or Navarro. I haven't really decided yet, but I think this is on Tatooine, and I think that they're going to take R5D4 here to get a little fixed up before he runs off with. Because in another
That
shot
makes sense.
with another, I think it's the first trailer. There's a shot of R5D4 next to Pelimoto, and he's got his leg kind of looks jank, and I think that it's like, hey, I'm going to take him with me, but I need to go get him fixed first.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense. I like that. I think you're really onto something with some of these trailer breakdowns here.
It's just I'm just a dork is all it is.
No, I love it.
I wish I could put those skills to something more important than trailer breakdowns.
Dude, Mandalorian is the most important thing.
Is
Maybe
it?
not the most important thing.
It's like Mandalorian, our children.
Yeah, there might be some more important things. Continuing on, we got a squad of Mandalorians drop in on what appears to be Navarro, followed by a cut to Paz Vizsla firing beside the destroyed IG-11 statue. So that definitely confirms that at least these Mandalorians are on Navarro.
And how dare they?
Right? That's just disgusting
I have
behavior.
never been more upset than realizing that statue was gone.
Yeah.
I was like, just screw you,
Agreed.
Star Wars.
Well, in Navarro, it appears these You're making me lose it again.
Sorry, but I love Paz Vizsla here.
Oh, he's great.
He's like the general, man. He's like, I'm
Favreau,
coming in.
Favreau might be busy, potentially becoming the president of Lucasfilm, but he can still voice Paz Vizsla.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just kidding about the president of Lucasfilm thing. I don't want to talk about that. I know there's theories
I'm
out there.
not kidding. I think that's what's happening.
We'll see.
Okay. Sorry.
Anyway, man, we're really getting derailed here.
A good story for another time.
In Navarro, it appears these Mandalorians are fighting a gang of Niktos, and we see a couple of Babu Frick species called Anzelans. Witness this. What's up with these Niktos continuing to show up everywhere? They were the ones that had Grogu to begin with. They were the ones that are destroying things for Boba Fett on Tatooine, and now they're here on Navarro. What's going on?
Well, they're not just Niktos.
There's more.
Well, if you look at the first trailer, there's a couple of Trandoshans.
Oh, really? Okay. See,
Yeah,
I guess I need to go back and rewatch the first trailer.
I don't think that matters, because you'd point something out really important. This could very easily be the same gang that had Grogu in the beginning, because nobody knows where they came from. How the heck do they have Grogu?
That's one of the biggest questions that I've noticed doing this Mando rewatch is I'm still wondering, how did Grogu get there in the first place? That's the flashback we should really be focusing on.
And I would have never thought to ask that question had you not pointed it out in your rewatches, because I've been listening to them. I had no idea. I never even thought, oh yeah, that's a problem. No, now it's like, yeah, this could be them. Why not?
Yeah, that'd be cool. They're trying to get them again or something.
It'd be the perfect way to do a quote unquote filler episode.
Yeah, well, full circle moment for sure.
Absolutely. You can get them back or don't get them back. I don't think they're going to get them back.
Yeah.
But one Mandalorian that I just happened to posit it about the 1:21:22 mark. One of the female Mandalorians just caps a dude who's already dead in the back of the head. It's like, dude, you're savage. But that's something different.
Well, this scene, are we concerned that Greef Karga makes it out or not? Is there any concern for you that he lives?
I think he's gone.
You think so?
Well, I think that Carl Weathers coming back for season 3 immediately told everybody, because he was like, I'm coming back, get ready,
Yeah.
Immediately told me he's directing his episode. And then I think it's the first trailer, he moves his waistcoat and goes for the blaster.
Yeah.
I think that's like they're going to cap him, and that's what's going to have Din come back to Navarro a fourth time in the series or whatever, because he's like, hey, Paz Vizsla is like, hey, Greef Karga's dead. Okay, I'm coming. It's one of those things. I think that's what's happening here. I mean, I could be very wrong, but I think he doesn't make it out, and I think Carl Weathers would want to be responsible for directing his own death.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I think that's something he would want to cherish as far as a director goes. He's died a lot in other movies. You look at Apollo Creed, you look at Predator. Spoilers for those who haven't watched Rocky or Predator, but whatever. Those are big moments for him in dying. I think he'd want to have some kind of say over that at this point.
Thinking on it, if I think back to season 1, as far as marketing for this show goes, if they decide to kill off Greef Karga, the Mandalorian himself is the only remaining character that was promoted before the show ever started. because you got Kara, you got Quill, and you got Grief Karga, IG-11, and Din Djarin himself. Those were the 5 that they were saying, hey, come check out this new show focused on these 5 characters.
Well,
and it'd be interesting to see after this 3rd season that the Mandalorian would be the only one left over. Now, obviously, we now know that it's more focused on Mandalorian and Grogu, not these other ones. But those were the 5 characters that Lucasfilm and Star Wars said, hey, come and watch these individuals in our Star Wars galaxy.
Well,
It'd just be interesting to see that turn.
They were stepping stones. They were, hey, we have an Ugnaught, and he's a main character. He's our Yoda. Cool.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a Boba Fett, but he's not Boba Fett. We've got a woman with a giant gun. Awesome. You know, we've got freaking Apollo Creed. Heck yes. You had me at Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
And Boba Fett, that's not Boba Fett. Like I was there, you know, but he's gone. We don't have to worry about relying on these things, which is
for sure.
Which is what George Lucas did with the prequels. I mean, if we're being honest, he said, here's young Obi-Wan, here's young Anakin, here's Luke and Leia's mom. Everybody's like, cool. And then it wasn't what everybody expected. That's their problem. Okay. It worked out fine, you know? So it's what we're doing it, not in reverse. We're doing it the way things ought to be done. It's like, if you're going to weed things out and take away certain things, this is a good way to do it. And it's the way Star Wars should probably do it. You know, I think it's a good way to do it. So if this is where he meets his end, I mean, I love Grief Karga. He's a great character. Yeah. But gosh, Carl Weathers is a household name.
Yeah, he is.
You know, he's got they need to, you know, chip away at the budget a little bit. And he's the first one to go. I'm just being honest. As
far as an emotional reaction, Carl Weathers' Grief Karga would have to be the character to go in this season of all the other ones we've seen.
He'd be like our Han Solo, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon. You know, that's what it would be.
I guess we'll see.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I'll be a little conflicted if that happens, but I'm sure the storytelling will probably play out in the appropriate ways if that happens. Well, we get our final moment here in the trailer where Grogu emerges from a cave, maybe the Mines of Mandalore cave. That's what it kind of looks like, at least. And force pushes some giant species that I'm personally unfamiliar with as Din Djarin delivers yet again another This Is the Way, which I did admittedly as far as trailer production goes. For some reason, I felt weird that there were 2 This Is the Way deliveries. But regardless, what did you think of this moment with Grogu using the force push very aggressively?
Yeah. Well, the first, let me address the This Is the Ways really quick. The first one was just off the cuff. Hey, I say this all the time. The second one was This Is the Way, like very different. Oh, and I think that has something to do with what he's just done or is doing in this trailer.
Yeah, well, and I think the timing of it too is to show that Grogu's committed to following whatever Din Djarin does instead of the Jedi way or whatever.
Yeah. And weirdly enough, this is me being an uber nerd, so I apologize. But the creature that jumps down in the shot here before he pushes him, I saw it and I was like, oh, it's a golem. Now, this is me again, uber nerd. I apologize. The name Gollum from Lord of the Rings is actually a Jewish word that is kind of like a slang Yiddish type thing that means like a demon. And so Gollum, if you say it as it's intended in like I think it's Yiddish. That's where you get that Tolkien took from. So I looked at this and was like, oh, he's fighting a demon. Like it's just what it is. He's very gangly, and then of course Lord of the Rings coming into play. He's very, Gollum-esque, minus the fur and the hair, but he's Gollum if Gollum ever took steroids is kind of how I look at it. And he's just super creepy looking. I love that on YouTube you can like play videos back at like certain speeds.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it right now at 0.25 speed. This thing looks like a wolf. And it's really
interesting.
It's really freaky looking. And he's got some kind of a weapon. Like, so it's not a creature, it's a sentient being. Because there are no creatures, there are no non-sentient creatures in Star Wars that use tools. They're all a humanoid-esque, mindset. And so this is not a creature he's fighting. It's like an individual. So it's going to be like his like cave moment, like Empire
Yeah.
Strikes Back, is
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
Ooh.
So anyway, all that
That'd
to
be
say, I also think that if he's going to, if his signet is going to be revealed to him, this is that signet where
Mhm.
Din Djarin's is the Mudhorn. This is Grogu's.
Yeah, I think you're onto something with that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the visual aspect of all of that too, and I do think too it played for me as far as Grogu pushing in those moments. Like, yes, he looks the same, but somehow suddenly Grogu looks so much older and wiser in this
As
moment.
soon as he comes out of the cave after
Yeah.
he forced, yeah.
It's so wild to me how that has suddenly happened. We're witnessing our baby grow up, and
Which is good. It's great. He needs to.
yeah, I can't wait. I really just I can't wait for this season, and I can't wait to talk about it in all spoilery goodness each and every single week.
Yes.
We do have one thing that I wanted to discuss. I put out on Twitter, and I always like to do this. I put out on Twitter for anyone to reply with any thoughts if you would like to be on the podcast. We did have someone reply to us that wanted to be on the show, so I definitely wanted to read their thoughts. I just simply asked, what did you think of the trailer? What are your theories? What are your burning questions? And then I said I was going to discuss anyone that wanted to reply, and we did get an entry from at Yay Mine FTIS. I don't know how to say all of that in one fluid thing there. Gabby is the username, at least. The trailer was pretty neat. I love Din's monologue at the beginning. It feels like he's talking to Grogu, but also to his fellow brothers, accepting the leadership role, maybe? ? I like that he still wants to honor his beliefs. I was a bit worried they'd depict his sect in a more villainous way, because in my opinion, they are way more interesting as a survivor faction that honors the traditions. Also, I hope there's lots more of the armorer. I couldn't help myself and drew a lot of my theories for her in this thread. So Gabby, this user, has a thread that's like it looks like 7 tweets thread that user took the time to throw out on Twitter. So again, I'll say at YA Mine MINE FTIS. If you want to go check out that thread, go check out that thread. But regardless, I will say this: the armorer, we need more of her. Mm-hmm. I 1000% agree with that. I know we got some of it in the Book of Boba Fett, but we need more armorer in the Mandalorian. And I think it looks like we're going to get that. What do you think of that?
There's no way that we don't get more of her. I think that Din Djarin needs to be caught in between Bo-Katan and her, because Mandalore is okay. And if you look at the way the culture has been set forth in our world,
yeah,
we want to see more women in charge in our shows like these. And so using the armorer and Bo-Katan as these two elders, I'll say, for the Mandalorians makes a lot of sense. And you have the Death Watch, stuff, and you have the Bo-Katan departing from Death Watch when Maul took over in Clone Wars. So there's an interesting split here that's been there since, the Clone Wars. We're looking at probably 25 years or so, 30 years since that's happened in canon. So it makes sense that we would need more armorer, and I think Din needs to be put between a rock and a hard place as a Mandalorian to really see that, because he's kind of like our Anakin Skywalker in a way, where he's been put between the Council and Palpatine, and who is who in the Mandalorians is up for debate. But I think that the armorer and Bo-Katan, they need to fight at some point, and that would be freaking dope.
That would be so epic.
And for anybody to say that it wouldn't, I'm just like, are you freaking serious? Like, it's Bo-Katan, first of all, and the armorer kicks some tail.
Yeah.
In season 1, she cleaned house.
She did. Yeah.
And made stormtroopers look like ragdolls,
right,
and we know Bo-Katan's capable of that,
for sure.
Let's see it go down. I that's the fight of the century for me. That's I'll say it, this is controversial, but I'll say it, that'd be a better rematch than Vader and Obi-Wan.
I would probably agree with that, potentially.
It may be a hot take for a handful, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah, I think more armor. Yeah, give us more armor. And Gabby, if That's what you think, man. Thank you. That's exactly what we need to hear, because
Yeah.
I like that take. It needs to be said. It needs to be
Yeah,
talked about.
we need more armor for sure. I would love to see that character utilized almost in a main character way, but I don't know if they're gonna do that. But I mean, I would prefer it because that character is just absolutely awesome. Well, let's end this thing with just kind of giving overall impressions as far as the trailer goes. I, for one, will say that I was floored. I mean, you can go and watch my reaction on YouTube. I was pumped the entire time. The sounds, the sights, the pacing of it. Admittedly, the first half of the trailer was all things that we've seen before. So as far as being bummed about something, there would be one thing there. But I was already going to watch the show anyway, but I could see easily people that saw that trailer for the first time and saw anything Mandalorian Season 3 for the first time through that trailer because they were watching a Monday Night Football game. I could easily see some random person being like, okay, that looks pretty freaking cool. I'll go check that out on Disney+. So what were your overall impressions, though? Did you like it? Was it okay? Did you love it? What did you think?
I was reeling from it. I mean, I got one of those Govee light displays that can go behind your TV for Christmas with the LED lights that projects.
Had to play on that.
Oh, dude. It was incredible. So I'm watching the game, and God bless my wife. My daughter's first birthday is next weekend, and so we're getting ready for the party.
Man,
and so
that's crazy.
I know, it's so fast. So
which means it was like the end of Book of Boba Fett.
She was born during the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
I was
right,
in the hospital waiting for her to be born, and the Mandalorian episode of Book of Boba Fett premiered. So I watched that on my phone.
Yeah.
I watched that on my phone in the hospital.
We haven't even talked about a Mandalorian focused episode together before.
No,
because you took baby leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've never done it.
This is going to be awesome. This is going to be great.
And so I'm looking forward to that. That's one of the reasons. Like I told my wife, I was like, hey, for like 9 weeks. Yeah. I'm letting you know that I have to do this. And she's like, okay, God bless her. But still, she's like making decorations for the party. She's just like, she's so good at it. And I just shout out to my wife just for being awesome. But like, she's making decorations and literally sewing stuff together. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, you have to give me like 2 minutes. And so I go and turn off the lamp. It's like totally dark. I have on the light display and it comes on and I'm sitting there watching it. And then, of course, they beat their chest, and I just involuntarily, do that. I was like, I looked over, she's sitting to my left. I went, and then I was like, whatever, and kept going. So, like, I'm having like a nerd out moment the whole time, and just pumped because I knew we were gonna get new footage, and I knew we'd get repeat footage, and that there's only like 3 things that were repeated, which I only know that because I edited the 2 trailers together. Right. But overall, it just made me more excited. It made me more happy that it's coming back. Live action Star Wars is the best Star Wars. That's, I will always stay by that. I love Clone Wars. I love Rebels. I did not like Resistance, but I love those 2 shows. So to me, those are good, but this is special. It's different. This is what brought so many people back to Star Wars. It's going to bring us all right back again, and I loved it. I'm looking forward to what it's going to bring. Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to cover it. Mando Talk, of course, is definitely going to cover it in full detail. Would we be Mando Talk if we didn't do that? No shot. We wouldn't earn that title. So we'd just be Talk. Yeah, we'd just be Talk. You best believe, and you can expect some of our most effort go into this thing. So you definitely want to subscribe and follow and do all of those things because at least for me personally, and I know DJ will too, I turn it up another notch when it comes to The Mandalorian because I just love this show and the things that Favreau, Filoni, and everyone involved. I'll even throw Kathleen Kennedy in that mix. Everyone that made the decision to make this series, I love everything about it, and I can't wait to cover it in full detail. And it's coming up soon. So what? We've got, let me see, Friday, February 10th is when you'll get the Mando Rewatch for the back half of Season 2 of The Mandalorian. February 24th is when you'll get the Book of Boba Fett Mandalorian episodes. And also on that 24th recording, I'll throw in some predictions for The Mandalorian Season 3 since that will be the last podcast show before March 3rd, which will be mine and DJ's first Mandalorian Season 3 spoiler discussion. So we've only got
2 more podcast episodes coming out, and then the third one that comes out will be a spoiler discussion of this show. It is so close, and I cannot wait for it to get here. And in the meantime, follow us, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, at Mando Talk on all of those platforms. Join our Discord if you want to be on some one-on-one conversations, deep dive discussions, more personal conversations, especially during the Mandalorian. We love to talk with our audience on that platform. Join that. The link is in the description, and you can get us on any of those platforms. DJ, thank you so much for being on this episode of Mando Talk. Can't wait to have you more often as we're gearing up for this thing. Any final words for the peeps?
So glad took the time to do this tonight and jump back in. It's kind of like a jump start for me for the third season. So I'm looking forward to coming back to that. Other than that, I will just put in 2 quick little plugs.
Mm-hmm.
Go check out the chronological order trailer I threw up on my Reddit channel page, however that's called, whatever. It's all, I tweeted it too. So you have to scroll down a little bit on my profile, but it's there. Because it's, for me, that's where most of my takes come from, just that, looking through it that lens. I think it makes the most sense. So check that out. And then I started a new podcast with some friends of mine called Cinematic Theology. We talk movies, discuss movies. We look at like how it looks, how it sounds, how it feels, whether or not we rewatch it again. But the theological element is we sprinkle in some Bible, and we talk a little bit of biblical stuff there to see if there's, story notes that have a biblical theme. That's my belief in life. And so it was fun to put that in a podcast form, and we're really enjoying it. Our most recent episode was on Tom Hanks's Big, which is why I referenced it earlier. So if you want to go hear our thoughts on Big, you can go check out. We're on pretty much everything. So podcast wise, I think anyway, I don't think I set that up, so hopefully we're on all of them. But anyway, it's definitely on Spotify, where I tend to listen the most. It's on Apple, and I think it is on Google as well. So it's on the 3 major ones. And then the next episode we have coming out is going to be on Glass Onion.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's the first time I've actually said that out loud for the internet to hear. So if you want to check out my thoughts on Glass Onion, first of all, I loved it, but go check out the rest of it, because I got my friends John and Parker who did incredible on that. So go listen to that, and when it comes out, not this week, but I think next weekend is when we're going to aim to release that. So, and then we'll take a break and do some Valentine's Day movie. Yeah, but whatever. Nice. We'll have some fun with that, I'm sure. But you go check out Cinematic Theology. We have a Facebook page and group, and that's it.
Well, I'll say I'm sure there's people listening to this podcast that have great opinions on Rian Johnson films, so definitely go check out that Glass Onion podcast episode coming out soon. Yeah,
he makes a great movie.
He does.
We actually talk about Star Wars in that episode too, a little bit, because we did, me and John, one of the co-hosts, he and I are huge Star Wars fans, and we wanted to talk about Last Jedi a little bit. So unless he edited that part out, it's in there. I don't think he did. I don't think he would have, just knowing him. He's our editor, so he probably kept it in there. But be looking for that. It's good stuff, and it was a lot of fun to discuss. Yeah, it's good soup. So there you go. There you go.
All righty. Well, let's end this thing. Let's get out of here. We can't wait to see you on the next episode. We'll hit that Mando rewatch. We'll talk about anything else that's relevant for The Mandalorian Season 3, as it's coming super, super soon, and can't wait for that. And until next time, as always, we have spoken.